You're watching the Dallas Cowboys Report. I am Tom Downey here with the latest Cowboys rumors and a couple news items we'll discuss in there as well. Let's dive into some of these trades here, including could the Cowboys make a trade? Is it a possible outcome here? 2 stars, and I'm talking about specifically 3 trade ideas mentioned by the Dallas Morning News, which we'll break down here in just a second. With teams facing cap issues, including, of course, the Dallas Cowboys, there could be some value out there in the trade market. You could be able to find a veteran player who is probably a little bit more expensive than you might otherwise think, but you could get him on the cheap because of the salary cap issues. And I will make note, Trader Jerry, he's been a little bit quiet of late. That's why it's only 2 stars and not any higher. Here were the 3 names mentioned by John Owning of the Dallas Morning News as potential Cowboys trade targets. Malcom Brown, the defensive lineman from the New Orleans Saints, another defensive lineman, Danny Shelton of the Detroit Lions, and then his teammate, Jeffrey Okudah. We'll get to all 3 guys here in this part of the show. Let's begin with Malcom Brown. Now, I want to make a note here, is that the Saints have already discussed trading Brown, and that came from Ian Rappaport. And historically speaking, when one of the big media guys tweets out, there's been trade interest in player who might be cut, that means team, in this case the Saints, are trying to find a trade partner because they're going to cut somebody. Now, if the Cowboys were to acquire Brown, they would owe him just under $5 million for 1 year of play. He's in the last year of his contract. Owning put together this trade proposal, Malcom Brown, of course, for the Cowboys, and a late-round pick, docking points for not actually specifying which late round would be. Let's say it's like a 5th or a 6th rounder, something along those lines, or one of the team's comp picks outside of round 3. Malcom Brown is a good run stopper. That is what he does well. He is not someone who is going to have success as a pass rusher. He can get you maybe a sack or 2 a season, but he's never going to be an 8-sack guy. But if you want another one technique to either go with or potentially replace Antoine Woods, I think Malcom Brown makes a lot of sense from that perspective. So because of that, it's at least somewhat intriguing. Let's go to the next trade proposal here. Jeffrey Okudah of the Detroit Lions in exchange for a first-round pick, number 10 overall. My own proposal might actually be, you could talk me into moving Michael Gallup as well as the first-round pick. I do not believe the Lions are looking to move Okudah. And I know there have been, I'm going to put rumors in quotation marks here, there's been some hypothetical ideas about going after an Okudah-type player, going after the former number 3 overall pick. If you could do it, I'm all for it. I mean, that takes care of your outside cornerback need. Jeffrey Okudah, Trevon Diggs on the outside, you're set. Yeah, they have to develop and prove themselves. And yes, Okudah's coming off a, frankly, pretty darn disappointing season for the Detroit Lions. He was also banged up, put in a pretty rough spot. I don't think the Lions are going to move on from him. So I am not really sure how realistic this particular trade is. But if you could do it, I have interest because he is a fantastic cornerback, and I would much rather have him than Caleb Farley or Patrick Surtain with that first-round pick. The third trade idea here was for Danny Shelton. The Lions get just a 7th-round pick, so you're almost getting him for free. I mean, who would you rather have, Danny Shelton or Ben DiNucci? Probably Shelton, right? This is another run-stopping option for the Cowboys. Now, he is not a pass rusher. Just like Malcom Brown, this is not someone you want as your key interior pass rusher on 3rd downs. He's got 5.5 sacks in 6 seasons, and 3 of those came in 2019. So outside of the one outlier year of production, he doesn't bring you anything near enough in terms of the pass rush. But he's a big boy. He's a massive run stopper. He would cost you $4 million, but I think the trade tag, or the trade cost that Owning put together here makes quite a bit of sense. So if you could only pick one to trade for, who is it? Type MB for Malcom Brown, type JO for Jeffrey Okudah, or you can type in DS for Danny Shelton. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section. Let's talk Cowboys trade rumors here in terms of moving on from Michael Gallup before he hits free agency. This has been floated by Jason LaCanfort and others, and I am down to have this conversation. I am giving it 2 stars. And for those of you who don't know what the stars mean, allow me to explain. 2 stars means people are talking. It is firmly in that rumor category. It's not fake news. It's not unlikely. It's still like a 50-50 call right there. The 2 stars on that one. It's not pretty likely. It's not a done deal. But I think it is a conversation worth having. And this, frankly, has nothing to do with how good I think Michael Gallup is, at least this part. I like Gallup. He's a fantastic player. He's a really good, I'd argue, 1B, or maybe for this even team, 1C next year as a wide receiver. But he is in the last year of his contract. The Cowboys have paid Amari Cooper, who's a better player than Michael Gallup. They drafted CeeDee Lamb in round 1, who looks like a piece long-term and had a really, really good first season despite not having Dak Prescott for the most of it. This is about roster construction and roster building. I don't believe that investing a significant contract for Gallup, unless he surprisingly takes way less, makes a lot of sense for this Dallas Cowboys team. So if you can find the right piece, be it a draft pick or a player in exchange, I would strongly consider a trade with just having 1 year left on his contract. So what do you guys want to do with Michael Gallup? Do you want to trade him? Go ahead and type in T for me in the comments section. Do you want to keep him instead? You can type in K. I don't think there's a wrong answer, because worst case, you can keep Michael Gallup and simply have him on your roster beyond or for 1 more year, and then get a comp pick in exchange. Let me know what you guys think. T for trade, K for keep. Now again, part of this depends on what you get back, right? Like I mentioned, I believe in Michael Gallup. He's a good football player. I'm not trading him because he's bad. If I were to move on, from a draft pick perspective, I'm looking for a 2nd or 3rd round pick back. Because in reality, I think it's very likely that he gets you at least a 4th round comp pick if he hits the open market and gets paid by somebody. I've got Amari Cooper in there as my wide receiver 1. I'm down to make CeeDee Lamb my wide receiver 2, and then be it with the pick I get back or even a later round pick, I can find another option at receiver to fill the wide receiver 3 role. So this is not about me thinking Gallup is bad or even wanting to trade him. Remember, this time last year, I was of the mindset, hey, let's keep Gallup on the roster for this year. He helps you win the most. But I need defensive help. I don't really plan, even though I could if I wanted to, I don't plan on paying him a whole bunch of money in the offseason. Now, if you were to trade Gallup, there are some intriguing draft prospects to keep an eye out for in this year's draft. And I'm looking at late day 2, so maybe one of these guys is there with my 3rd round comp pick or my outright 3rd round pick, or even falls to round 4. I've got Amari Rodgers from Clemson. Now, maybe you don't want 2 Amaris on the team, but that's a different conversation. Tutu Atwell, Dwayne Eskridge, undersized guys, but great athletes. Tylan Wallace, he's one of my guys this year. I think he's great. If he's there with my 3rd round comp pick, sign me up. That's fun. Shi Smith, others could be there. It's another strong receiver class. So, if you're of the mindset of, hey, we're looking ahead to fill a need in the draft, which a lot of smart teams do, maybe you look for a late day 2, early day 3 wide receiver. Dak Prescott now, what is going on with him? Are the contract talks progressing? I'll give it 3 stars of like, yeah, sure, but also let's see some real growth. Reports from Jane Slater and others are that, that they're progressing. Stephen Jones and Todd France have spoken recently, and they're more productive than they've been in the past, and they're going in the right direction, blah, 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 until there's something meaningful, until there's something strong and real, and we get actual progress beyond, hey, Stephen Jones and Todd France are at least talking now, doesn't really mean all that much to me. At this point, I simply want a decision. I want movement and not just what ends up being not great updates there. Now, in terms of the plan here for the Cowboys is the clock's ticking, because that franchise tag window, it closes in terms of placing a tag on March 9th. We're 5 days away from that. Free agency, the tampering period, opens up on March 15th. So if you're the Cowboys, your clock's ticking. And what I don't want to have happen is get through free agency and get to the draft or beyond that and not have a decision yet with a Dak Prescott deal. I don't think that's a good way to handle trying to win this year, even down the road. So will the Cowboys tag Dak Prescott? I'm talking from a right now perspective. Not will he play on the tag, but will he get tagged to start? Get your votes in here. Y for yes or N for no. Now, whatever the Cowboys do with Dak Prescott, good, bad, and different, we're going to let you guys know. If you want to stay updated, make sure you guys are subscribed. The link, bottom of your screen, youtube.com/CowboysTV. Make sure you guys subscribe. That way you don't miss out on a single Cowboys video. Let's talk draft now. How about the Cowboys and Gregory Rousseau? I hate this. Fake news. Maybe it should be 1 star, but I want to emphasize it's a dumb idea. Comes to us from NFL.com with their analytical-only mock draft, which, okay, sure, I guess, I hate it. They mocked Rousseau to the Cowboys. And look, he does check off the boxes for production and for size, but despite putting up 19.5 tackles for loss and 15.5 sacks and being a long edge rusher, the way he won at Miami, beating up on guards, getting effort sacks, and winning from the interior is not going to translate that well in the NFL. Now, I am down to gamble, I'd say maybe in round 2 on his upside. I'm not as high, I think, as the NFL is on him. I'm not as low as I know other draft people are on him. But I don't want to touch him at number 10 overall. I think it's a horrible idea. I got no desire to that. Frankly, all the edge rushers this year, I don't want to touch them in the top 10. Kwity Paye, Azeez Ojulari, Jason Owe, great athletes. Ojulari's really undersized, though. Paye and Owe haven't produced at college. That's a major concern. Jalen Phillips, talented, but guess what else? He's got medical concerns. He was not cleared to play football by UCLA. Had to medically retire. That's a bit of a red flag there. So I don't want an edge early in round 1 at number 10 in this year's class. But I wouldn't mind getting one of these St. Patrick's Day Cowboys gear items. You can go find yours at chatsports.com/CowboysGreen, because, green St. Patrick's Day there. They work. Normally, you wouldn't expect the green and blue to mesh all that well. I think it does here, though. And if you're going to go anywhere this St. Patrick's Day, why not rep the Dallas Cowboys in the process? Chatsports.com/CowboysGreen. They got it for both men's and women's. T-shirts are available. Check the comments. Check the description. I'll make sure that link gets put in there for you guys. That way, all you have to do is go click and shop and find out what you guys want today. That's chatsports.com/CowboysGreen. Cowboys rumors on a potential Gerald McCoy return. I'm going to give this one 3 stars, meaning it's pretty likely that's what ends up happening. But that does not mean it is a done deal yet. Now, Mike Fisher reporting, again kind of, that both sides, McCoy and the Dallas Cowboys, are interested in a potential reunion. And that's really been on the table since the Cowboys cut him. Back when they did it after his quad injury, which the Cowboys were aware could be an issue, had it into the contract that they can get out of it if they ever needed to. This does make some sense. I am at least intrigued by it. Now, health is a red flag there. And I don't think you're going to get prime Gerald McCoy. But you know what I'd love to get is 2019-2018 Gerald McCoy. When was the last time a Cowboys interior pass rusher had 5 sacks or 6 sacks and it wasn't a giant headache off the field, David Irving? That's intriguing to me. So if the medical checks out, knowing he should be pretty inexpensive, I am down to bring back Gerald McCoy. Now, what gives me pause here is I don't think McCoy fixes the interior defensive line issues for this team. I like Neville Gallimore's upside. Tristan Hill flashed before his injury. Antoine Woods is a decent enough rotation piece at nose guard in that one technique run-stopping role, but you're not getting prime Gerald McCoy. You're getting, in reality, back end of career coming off an injury Gerald McCoy. I assume it'll be a cheap 1-year deal. And if that's the case, sure, let's do it. There's no such thing as a bad 1-year deal with little to no guaranteed money. But if I were the Cowboys, I would at least explore some other defensive line options in free agency, especially if I pay Dak Prescott and have more money available for this offseason. Some notable names to keep an eye out for. Dalvin Tomlinson would be like my number 1 dream option because I think he can be a run stopper and give you enough in terms of the passing game that it's worthwhile there. Shelby Harris is intriguing to me out of Denver. He's a pretty good player. You want to go with the veteran kind of journeyman guy? Ndamukong Suh, always linked to the Cowboys. Sheldon Rankins' deal voids. The former first-round pick could be a good buy low, high upside type of player. And Jarrell Casey fits a similar mold to Gerald McCoy, and coming off his own injury, actually might make some sense as well. Now, there's different types of players. There's a bunch of different options. I would like at least one defensive tackle to come aboard in free agency because I don't think it's a great draft class. So at that point, you should probably explore what your options are in free agency and figure out, hey, let's at least fill a need so we can still take a defensive tackle but aren't forced to reach on a particular prospect. If they think Gerald McCoy can be a key rotation piece, if not outright starter, okay, I'm down with that. If he's cheap, I'm down with it. So what do you guys want to do? Do you want to bring back Gerald McCoy, coming off the injury, put him back on the Cowboys? Get your votes in for me in the comments section. It's Y for yes or N for no. Let's go to Bashaud Breeland now, a different type of free agent target. 2 stars on this one. This fits the Cowboys potentially bargain bin shopping in the open market. Now, I don't mind Breeland, and I do wonder if he might command a little bit more than what, historically speaking, the Cowboys have been open to doing. And I think he can be a low-end, mid-tier, number 2 corner. I don't want him over or as my number 1. I don't think that's the route I want to pursue. If he's cheap enough, this fits the mold of what the Cowboys have done. Add a player so that your position, in this case cornerback, isn't a massive need anymore. You could get by with Trevon Diggs and Bashaud Breeland and Anthony Brown. However, if the right guy was there for you, you wouldn't have to pass on him in the NFL draft. The smart teams fill needs in some capacity in free agency, which then allows them to truly take closer to the best player available in the NFL draft. You sign Breeland, let's say it's a 2-year, 10, 13, something like that, $1 million deal. If Farley and Surtain are off the board, now you're not panicking. If one of them is there, you could still take him. But you don't have to force yourself into an early round cornerback if you were able to get a player like Bashaud Breeland on your team.